going to get going, and pardon the interruptions that I have caused because I can't see anything going on here, but we are indeed live. So I'm going to go back so you can see my face. I want to talk just a moment about what we're doing, and again, I apologize, first time doing this, and you never know how many glitches you find. So we're going to be doing a free online class today using the Spotlight on Nature stamp set, and I'm going to go ahead and switch over in just a second. My name's Amy Taylor. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up, and I'm excited that you are with me, and just want to show that some wonderful projects. So I've got 4 different projects. I'm going to flip my camera and then we can get at it. So again, we're using Spotlight on Nature. I'm going to move it up here where you can kind of see it out of the glare. And I'm also going to be using the Unbounded Love, which is, I'm using just the dies, or excuse me, not just the dies, just the stamp set. It is a bundle. It does come, if you buy the bundle, with some dies that are frames and other little images, but I am only for these projects using the dies. For Spotlight on Nature, I'm actually using both the stamp set and the dies. So just to show, it's a red rubber stamp, and it comes with, and I keep mine in Stampin' Storage cases, but it comes with some detailed circle dies which coordinate really well with Stylish Shapes dies, which we will also be using for these projects. A couple of them from Stylish Shapes. So I'm going to set those aside, and I'm going to show you the projects that we're going to get going on. So I've got 3 cards. The first of them that we'll make is this card. The second, which is a lot more masculine, to kind of show there's other options when you're using Spotlight on Nature. It isn't just for girls, not just for those who like the girly stuff or the feminine edge of things. And then this card, so 3 cards. And then we're going to make a 3D item. And so the 3D item is what is referred to as a 2468 box. It's a cute little box, would house all kinds of little things, but oftentimes you put candy in something like this. So those are our projects that we're going to make today. And just so you're aware, this is a free online class, and if you spend $45 or more in my online store, justalittleinc.stampinup.net, and you order between now and the end of day on June the 5th, and there was a reason I've extended that if you saw a different date, I will mail to you a make and take pack that has all of the materials that you'll need, minus stamp sets, minus any dies, anything that needed die cut or punched has been die cut or punched. And it does not include the embellishments, so you will need the embellishments. So any of the jewels and whatnot that I've used won't come with that, but you will receive in the mail, I will ship out on June the 7th, your make and take pack if you order between 45 or more. If you spend 50 or more, I will also include, for now, I'm not going to probably keep on doing this because of changes that are working on with host code stuff, but I will include some embellishments for you. You will need to use my host code that is listed here in order to receive this in the mail for free. You'll also then receive emailed to you, they won't receive this in the mail, but emailed to you the tutorial for all 4 projects. And they will come to you in a padded envelope to your mailing address, which you will share with me when you order. So all those things, but want to make sure that you're aware of all of that. So with no further ado, let's get started. We've had enough delay. So we're going to start with Have a Blessed Day card. So the Blessed Day card, I'm going to pull out my packet of items and grab what I need here. I have already run mine through the machine. So but I want to show you. So I'll grab my big machine, and you need the big machine for this, and you'll know why in a minute. I'm going to grab my plate. I need plate number 1, and I need my folder. So we're going to be using the Dots and Circles 3D embossing folder. So just so you can see, this is a big embossing folder. This is a half folded card. Do you see how much bigger this folder is compared to the card? So it's a nice big embossing folder. You always run your embossing folders fold in first. So I'm going to place my paper in here around centered. And then I am going to need, and I think I just had it out here. Oh yeah. I am going to need the gray plate, which is plate number 4. And I'm going to roll those through. And I wanted to show this. This is a class. And I've got a few techniques that you're going to get to see. And so we'll pull all those things kind of out. So then that ends up with what I had already embossed. But so we have here an embossed piece. So I'm going to fold this out of the way and get it out of there. So what I'm going to start with, I'm going to fold my cardstock. Just in case, I don't know how much stamping you've done. When you score something, you've got the valley side and you kind of have the mountain side. You want the mountain side facing you. Then you're going to fold it over that mountain side. I'm going to grab my bone folder. Score it here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach this on the front of my card using Stampin' Seal. I am a fan of Stampin' Seal. If you are not, there are other adhesives out there, but I do think that Stampin' Up's got a great adhesive in Stampin' Seal. So I'm going to center this on the front of my card. And then I'm going to show you how you're going to run these things through. I have already die cut my pieces, but I wanted to kind of talk through what that looked like. So I have a piece of basic white cardstock that is cut at 5 3/4 inches by 3. That's large enough for me to get these 3 dies all on there. And you could choose which ones you want. You're going to use the 3rd largest, and I've chosen this one. There are 2 sizes, or 2 different designs that are the same size. And then I'm also going to need the 3rd from the largest. So I'm coming to here. You kind of note how I could do this. And then we need that Stylish Shapes die, and you're going to need the banner. So you need this piece. So I'm going to lay it up here so that I've got kind of those pieces in. Then I would run it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I'm not going to run it through, but I do kind of want to step through what plates you need, because die cutting is all about the sandwiches. So you will need, again, plate number 1. But you also need with it plate number 2 on top. It's kind of the spacer. You'll need then your 2 plates. Let's see which ones I kind of make sure I keep a clean one on top. So you need to have this one on here, so number 3. Then you would line up your dies and you would follow it up with a number 3 again, and you would run it through the machine and out would come these pieces. So I'm going to set these aside. We will use them again. So, like so. But let's get to the stamping part. So at this point, I'm going to pull out Summer Splash ink. I had determined that it was better for me to use the markers, and you're going to kind of see why as we get going here. So I'm going to pull out, I want the flowers image, and I'm going to need block number E, or letter E. I'm going to turn it over, and then I also need that butterfly, and with it I believe this is B. No, C. Need block C. So get it ready. So I'm going to put butterfly on this one, and I'm going to put the flowers on the other. And so we'll kind of show you how I'm doing this. You're going to start with your lightest marker. Markers come both with a brush end, which we will use, and a writing end. The Stampin' Up! Redid these a couple years ago. You can kind of see, if I get it closer, it's a really nice writing tip. But we want the brush tip. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to color from the kind of this part of the wings. And if I overlap down below, that's the reason I'm using the lighter. So I'm going to come and grab, not with the point down, but from the side. And I'm going to grab the ink and make sure I get it covered really well. And then I'm going to put this marker away. And I'm going to grab our summer splash, and I'm going to again use the brush tip. This time I'm coming in, and I come from that part of the butterfly, and then I'm going to just barely grab around. This is really a fairly simple technique of omitting or doing two colors on a stamp. And it works best really with red rubber. You can do it on photopolymer stamps, but photopolymer tends to not sit on top of the stamp very well. Then I've got basic black, which is a standalone marker. And I'm going to only grab the color of his body. So I'm going to kind of grab just along the edge. It's really not a hard thing to do. And I'll put this one away. And then there's something that you're going to breathe on it. You want to re-moisten that ink. So I'm going to breathe on it there. And then I want to come not too far in the, I want it not in the center and not on the edge. I'm going to stamp nice and firm, hold it there, and lift up. And that will leave me a butterfly that's got more than one color. So then I can set that one aside. I will need to clean that, and so I've got my Simply Chamois sitting here. I keep some Simply Chamois cut up and in a baggie. It just keeps them damp. A good friend of mine shared that tip with me. And so clean that up because we will need this stamp again. I really, really, really love this stamp set. This stamp set's one I got at On Stage back in March. So we're going to use the same technique with the flowers. I'm going to again start with the lighter just so that I don't accidentally, this is the reason to start with the lighter. The lighter can get covered up and the darker color on top of it won't affect the darker color. But if I were to ink up the lower, or the, you know, like the stems and the leaves, which are with the darker color, and then I accidentally touched with my peach pie here, I would find I have a little bit of summer splash on my peach pie, and that would not be a good thing. So I've inked up the flowers in peach pie. And just so you're aware, this stamp set, or this, excuse me, this marker bundle, or, well, it is a bundle, it's an assortment, is the in color, the 2024 to 2026 in color markers. And so it's a good value, definitely a good thing. If, because today's the 30th, tomorrow's the last day of our Join special. And markers and all are included in that extra product that you'll receive. You get all of the new in colors, which is awesome. And if you want to know more about that, I would love to talk to you about joining. No obligation to continue, but Stampin' Up! Has been a wonderful company. I have been a demonstrator for over 22 years, and I have not looked back. So I'm going to put this away. So again, I've got my stamp inked up, and I'm going to breathe on it. I'm also going to put a blotter paper here because I don't want to ink up my backdrop here. So get a nice breath on there, and then it's a matter of what you want to showcase. You're not going to see everything here. You're only going to see some. Nice firm pressure. You don't need to wobble. It's a misnomer from years of rubber stamping before it was a thing. So there you go. See how beautiful that is? I just love. You know, if you just need a few colors, you're starting out, markers are not a bad way to go. So I'm going to clean that up again. It's always good to keep your stamps clean. Not only are we going to be keeping on using this, but it's a good thing to keep them clean anyway. You don't want to store them dirty. So got it cleaned up. Let's ink a little bit here, make sure I got it dried. Awesome. So the last little piece I have for the front is this greeting that I'm going to put on. Put it here where you can actually see it. I'm going to put it on the banner piece we die cut. So I'm going to pull out the "Have a blessed day," and I need a block. So I'm going to grab one of the long skinny ones. This is an H block. So here we go. And for this I want Summer Splash ink. So I've got our ink pad. They fold here. If you haven't seen our ink pads, kind of open up like a makeup case. It's the best explanation I can have. And they will lock in. So I'm going to grab, tap. So I don't want to push in here. If you push, you're going to have ink all over the block and everything else. So again, tap, tap, tap. I'm going to come and stamp it right in the center. And the nice thing about Unbounded Love is that it's a photopolymer stamp, which means it's a clear stamp. You're going to see it when you stamp it down, which is great for words. I really like that for my words. So again, we want to clean my block. We've got our parts and our pieces for the front. And we will come here. I'm going to set that aside. We don't need it yet, but so the last piece is I've got a strip, and this literally is a strip of our in color glimmer paper. So the 2024-2026 in color glimmer paper. And I'm only using a 1/4 inch by, I believe this is 3 1/2. Nope. I'll tell you in just a second. No, 2 7/8, just shy of 3 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm put a little adhesive on the back of my, I don't need much, just on the back of my glimmer paper, or of my banner. And I'm going to line up one end to the other end, right across here. And then I can pull out my paper snips. Paper snips are something you're gonna want. I don't know how you live without them. And I'm just gonna come in to where this little end gets trimmed off. Like so. You can keep it as long or as short as you want it to be. Put my tool away. And then I need some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back. So I'm gonna grab out a pack of Stampin' Dimensionals. And we will get this going. So I'm going to put 3 of them on here. Probably don't need 3. Actually, I don't need one here. Which side is this? I'm going to pull this one off. You ever done that? Sometimes I need it a little flatter. Wasn't thinking through here. So I want one over here. I want this piece to put down on my butterfly, so I'm just going to grab some adhesive on top of there. It'll all be good. So I'm going to take and put adhesive on the back of my die cut shape. And I'm going to line it up kind of angled, and I want it mostly centered. So I come up here, press it. The embossed section normally is a little challenged, and then I need dimensionals on the back of my butterfly. So I'm going to do, I normally do 3s. Definitely need 2 of them. And then I'm going to tip him. He's going to actually sit on top of this other just a little bit. So see why I have my butterfly over here. I'm going to remove the backings of my dimensionals. And I'm going to line him up to where he's sitting on top. And I could keep it lower. I could go higher. I think I want to come up just a teeny bit higher to where it overlaps. Something like that. And I'm going to come a little higher here. So because this was popped up, I didn't want it even higher. So then I need to put something on the inside. So you've got a quarter sheet, a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white. And it's got our front of our card almost finished. And then I want to grab once again my stamp, and we're going to do the exact same thing I had done before. I'm going to ink up these poppies. Pretty sure those are poppies. And I'm going to use again our summer splash. Grab like so. It really does go pretty fast. But for you not wanting to color in, this really is the next best thing to still get two-tone look and get a lot of color on the front. Now, what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to stamp it off once, and then I'm going to stamp it onto this side of my card so that it's not as dark. Again, I need to clean it. And oftentimes when I'm stamping alone on my own, I use our Stampin' Scrub because for me that is just the fastest. And then it's an easy rinse in my kitchen sink. So when you get to doing a lot of stamping, it's great. When you're traveling, or for me with these videos, it really does make more sense for me to just keep my stuff here. And then one more thing, I need to pull this stamp away, and I'm going to grab from that same Unbounded Love stamp set, there's a Happy Birthday. I'm going to grab it because I thought I liked Have a Blessed Day as being almost like we're doing the outside message that would normally be on the inside, and then the reverse of that on the inside. So I'm going to grab up in the front here, and I'm just going to come in. That's the biggest reason I went lighter on that flower, so that what stands out is the Happy Birthday, and that the flower kind of tucks back in. So we're going to put that away. We are done with Summer Splash. Now you will receive envelopes, and I do recommend, I didn't bring them out for me to do, but I do recommend that you stamp your envelope. It's a great, just sets it off from everything else that you receive. So then I'm going to go ahead and put some Stampin' Seal on the inside. And we got one more little touch, because I think it makes all the difference in the world. So There we go. Except we really need some gems. So they aren't available just yet, but they will be soon. I'm hopeful by the end of my ordering period they are. There are some other gems that haven't sold out, but these 24 to 26 in color shimmer gems have been very popular. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the larger, and I want to come closer, and then I'm going to take one of the smaller ones, and I'm going to come down. And you could do more, but I really liked just the two. So I'm only using the Summer Splash. And I saw a great tip. I'll share it here. Instead of opening and closing the little flap on the packaging that your gems come in, open up one end opposite where the little fold is on the cardboard piece that holds. And then your gems can easily slide in and out and yet stay protected. It's a great tip. I'm not sure who that was. It was not me, but if it has made a big difference. So that is card number 1, which I'm calling Have a Blessed Day card. So we're going to move on to card number 2, which focuses a little bit on some watercolor. It's a simple watercolor technique. Anyone can do this. And so let me pull out what we need. I'll just set it over here. I think that makes sense. We'll come where you can actually still see it in the screen. All right, so moving on to the Hello card. Let me grab my packet of materials. There you go. Now what you'll need for this card, you will need your half sheet. So I've got a half a sheet of Pretty Peacock, beautiful carryover from a previous in color. Love, love. Again, I'm going to fold it in half. Your tutorial comes with all of the instructions, comes with all the measurements. Definitely a value for you. I'm using a piece of the Country Woods Designer Series paper. And depending on how many people order and how many make and take packets I ship out, you may not get the exact same wood grain, but you will get a wood grain. All of our Designer Series papers have 2 sides, unless they're noted. Some of our specialties have thicker things, or they're a vellum or a window sheet in the past. So I'm going to just center this on the front. Simple, simple. Okay, then I've got a piece for the inside, which we're going to wait on because we're going to stamp on that. I've got a couple pieces for die cutting. So again, I am using the smallest, both of the, let me grab here, I will need that in a minute. We need the smallest shapes, and so let me put these away while we're talking. I need this piece, so it's got kind of a ridge on it. It doesn't actually cut it out. And that will go on that Very Vanilla. When I'm doing watercolor paper, I think the Very Vanilla is a better pair for it than Basic White. You certainly could use Basic White. So I'm just using scrap pieces to cut those out. Again, yours will come with them already. So I've already cut out the smallest. The other one is the smallest circle from the Stylish Shapes. So, because those go together really well. I've got a couple pieces. One is a piece of Pretty Peacock. This one is cut at 2 7/8 by 2 3/8. And then I have a piece of our Fluid 100 watercolor paper that's 2 1/4 by 2 3/4, so that they will pair off one another. And I'm gonna go ahead, and maybe a little out of order from how I had told you in your tutorial, but I'm gonna go ahead and stamp that leaf because we're watercoloring it and it will need to dry. So I'm gonna ink up. Again, I'm gonna grab the leaf image And I'm going to grab Pretty Peacock ink. The other thing, hopefully I brought it over here. I know I started to. Yep, I did. All right, I'm going to ink up again, tap, tap, tap. And I find with these larger stamps, it's easier to put the stamp pad to the stamp. Okay, so I've inked it up. And this is one of those that you're going to want to keep clean. So I'm using our Stampin' Spritzer. Stampin' Spritzers come 3 in a package. You fill them with liquid, most of the time with water. And I'm going to take my stamped block and I'm going to pull it off to the side. And it's about, you want to spray about a foot away. 2-3 times until you start to kind of see it move a little bit on the block. So then I'm going to come down and I'm going to come at an angle. You could do that however you wanted. I'm going to hold it there for a minute, let it get into the fiber of the watercolor paper. Then it's going to kind of do its thing. While it's doing its thing, you can kind of see here. Pull it up a little closer to you. It kind of bleeds out. The more water that you use, the more it will bleed. And so I need to clean my block before I put it away. Well, and I won't put it away yet because we're going to use it one more time on the inside. So that's, in fact, that is what the inside is beyond a greeting. I'm not even sure if I did a greeting. I don't think I did. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing without spritzing on it for the inside, because you want your inside to have some interest. So I'm going to come and I'm grabbing just off the one side. And you could lighten it up if you wanted. I'm not real worried about that. I will need the ink for a moment to go over the greeting, because we have just a little tiny greeting that's going on our die cut circle. So I put my stuff away. I'm not quite done because I'm going to grab, there's this little tiny, it looks like little dots to me, almost like you stippled something. And I liked how it looked when you inked it and yet watercolored it. So I'm using Basic Beige, which is one of our new colors. Grab it into the, I'm not used to it being slow. Here we go. I'm going to grab, and so I could put a little here. I'm going to ink up. This is what I'm doing on the outside. I'll put a little bit there so the inside will be ready. Well, you know what? This is a great time to tell you I did it backwards. So guess what? We get to do it again. We're going to ink it again on the other side, because isn't it great that all paper has 2 sides? So I'm inking it again because I need it to go the right direction. Doesn't help if it's backwards. And when our orientation is portrait and I've stamped it landscape, that can be a problem. So, probably because our last card was landscape. So, here we go. Now I can get rid of that. I'm going to stamp again. This is what we were looking for in the last. And you can kind of get the idea. You can choose to do those or not to do those. So I'm wanting, that's for the inside. I'm wanting to do the same thing, but I want that same watercolor look. And so I'm going to take the same thing. I'm going to use my spritzer. And the only tip I really have for this is that you are going to want to clean it after every time. And so it helps. You can just keep simply chamois nearby. You want to make sure it's dry. I'm going to do it again. I liked how it still had that watercolor look. And so you just have to make sure it's not wet. over here, and I've got one more. And depending, you know, you could certainly do them more often, but okay, one more place up here as I keep turning it around. There we go. So it'll do its continuing to bleed thing while we work on the rest of this card. So clean that block off. There we go. Goes away. Clean up my stamp set, stamp pads. So there's no point in us leaving them out. That's kind of keep my stamp place kind of clean. So we've got a couple more things to do. I need to put my greeting on my block. So I wanted, let me get rid of happy birthday here. I needed the hello. You could say love, you could say peace. There's other smaller greetings that are in this unbounded love, but I liked the hello. And so we're going to pull out, I don't need this right now. I'm going to pull out this little circle, and I'm going to ink up right in the center with Pretty Peacock. And it really does a good job. Even though I've embossed, it has kind of an embossed look to this stamp. It does a great job. So I'm going to clean that up. And we're going to layer. So I'm going to put some adhesive on the back. Come up here. All right. I think this is dry enough. We can go ahead and layer. The biggest amount of water was on that leaf, and so I'm going to go ahead, line it up on the piece of backing. I've got my layer, like so. So I've got those pieces set aside. Then I've got these two pieces. So this is a piece of our 2024-2026 In Color Designer Series paper. There are 2 different prints, well, I should say 4 different prints, 2 different papers, 4 of each. And so I'm choosing right now the stripe. Depending, again, you'll get a piece of, but it may not be this exact. It'll be the same color. It may not be this print. Just so you're aware of that. But Designer Series papers are just the added touch to a card, or a project for that matter. So I've got it listed here, got it turned over, and then to set it off just enough, I need, and I've set it over here somewhere, I need some linen thread. You will not get linen thread in your kit, so you will need to add that yourself. I've got about 17 inches that I'm telling you you should use. So I'm just going to run out some, grab my scissors, cut it. The end. Linen thread is a really reasonably priced trim, and it really is a great option, especially for those masculine cards. I've got more than enough. I'm going to tie it just in a knot, and I was going to bring, oh, my tip. I had a great little tip. Well, you know what? We're going to still grab it, so you'll pardon me for just a moment. Good enough of a tip that I didn't want to ignore it. So from our essentials or our add-on kit, and I should double check on that one. I should have done that before now. The tweezers are so great. I think it was probably a number of years ago that another demonstrator had shared this. If you will pull them up and set them in here, it can become your 3rd finger. So then I can have 2 hands free. It's great for tying bows. It's definitely great for tying knots. And so I'm going to pull it here tight enough to then let go and tighten up. And it just allows me that extra to be able to pull this around. I don't have to worry about where that knot goes, so I'm going to give a little flex to the center of my cardstock piece, enough to allow this to move, and I'm going to slide it ever so slightly, these sections, so that I have them on the place I want. So then I'm going to grab my scissors again, and I'm going to trim my ends, just like so. All right. And then this piece can go, let me set this out of the way. This piece can go on next. So I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive, our Stampin' Seal, on the back. So if you don't have the add-on for our embossing kit, you want our add-on for the embossing kit. There's so many cool things. There's a little tray that comes with a Stampin' Buddy that takes away any finger oils that can be on your paper when you're heat embossing, but that little tweezer is well worth it, and you'll wonder what you ever did without it. So I put this on about 1.5 inches or so from the bottom of the base, so there's a little more space at the top, a little less at the bottom. And I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of our watercolored leaf. I'm going to grab and put just one in each corner. Okay, like so. Grab those ends off. Sometimes that's the hardest part. I'm going to line it up. Grab my reminder about ordering. That's how you get all of these for free, all of this make and take. I'm going to put it over. It should be kind of offset on the left, upper left. So I went like so. And then I've got our little hello, and I just need one dimensional. Well, I uncovered him. There we go. Right in the center. Really don't need him any closer. And then what I did is I just came in as far as it would let me, kind of grab that corner. I want to make sure it's straight, but then it isn't lifted above the rest. And I'm going to put my insides again. See, no one else will ever know you messed up if you did what I did. Turn it over and take this very vanilla 4 by 5 1/4, very basic, and put it on the inside like so. And I did not put a greeting on the inside. I felt like there was enough, and it gave you something to write a note on here, but it still seemed like it needed something. And so I pulled out the adhesive backed sparkle gems. They come in 4 different finishes and 2 different sizes. And I'm using the champagne color. I'm gonna grab the champagne color. So I did 3 of them. I'm gonna grab a larger one, and I wanna come down here. And then I'm going to take 2 of the smaller ones. I want one that comes up and kind of over. I really like 3s. If you watched me in my stamping, you know that I tend to gravitate toward 3s. So then I've got those, and that's it. You would also want to stamp something on your envelope, and you will get a white envelope because Stampin' Up! No longer carries very vanilla. That changed. So just like so. Nice simple card again. So we've gotten 2 down. We have 2 projects to go. So let's get going on card number 3. Here is card number 3. You're a true blessing. And then I used the thanks from actually Spotlight on Nature. And I'll just set this up here so you can see it while we're working. So let me grab my packet. Pull out the items that I need, and we will get started. So we're going to start with our card base, which is Petunia Pop, another one of our in colors. So we have, now this would be the second, well actually the 3rd color, because Summer Splash, Peach Pie, Petunia Pop are all in colors this year, brand new. So I've 4 1/4, or excuse me, 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and I folded it in half at 4 1/4. So this is a piece of bubble bath. This was a brand new color last year. It's a 4 piece. It's cut 4 inches by 5 1/4, and we're going to stamp on it. Let me grab the one I want. So we're going to stamp on it using, I call it stitched. I really don't know what this one is. Looks like stitches to me. Let me grab it upwards. I have to get it where it's actually in the camera. I think it's stitches. And I'm going to use Bubble Bath ink. So tone on tone. And we're going to stamp it randomly. You know, I say randomly. A lot of people when they watch me go, that's not random, but randomly. So I'm going to start up here. And again, you're going to kind of work in threes. I'm twisting it a little bit, and I'm going to kind of come down at an angle. Then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to fill in those gaps. And I have found that's the easiest way to kind of get what would appear more random to the eye when you're looking at it, to get it all kind of covered. So that's the stamping for our background. We made our own background stamp using one of the backgrounds from Spotlight on Nature. A great, great set. So I'm going to leave this aside because we will probably need it again. Then I've already again cut out my 2 pieces. So I'm using the second to the largest circle from Stylish Shapes, and I'm using one of the, I believe this is second to the smallest. There are 2 different options, and I went with this particular one from Petunia Pop. And I need to put my greeting on this one. Let me set this aside. And I need to stamp my flowers on this one. So we're going to use Misty Moonlight and ink it up. And so I've grabbed here, I just had scrap pieces of paper for that. I'm going to stamp the greeting out of Unbounded Love. And I want the one that says, "You're a true blessing." Is that this one? No. Not that one. Yes, this one. "You're a true blessing." And now I'll grab this block because it's available. Sometimes you do that. So I'm going to ink up. And then I want this stamped right in the middle of that space. So "You're a true blessing." And I'm going to go ahead, for now, we will use it again, but right now I want to go ahead and clean this up. We won't use the stamp again, but we will use that color again. So get that out of the way. Then we want to stamp the flowers again. So again, I'm going to pull out the E block. I'm going to place them on here, and I want our Tuxedo Black Memento ink so that we can use Stampin' Blends. Gives you a different option. You obviously could make this card not using blends. You could use it just like we did in the first card. You could choose to do the same thing here. So I'm going to make sure I've got enough of that flower on my circle. And it helps to have a blotter, some piece of scratch paper that's underneath, because we're obviously not inking completely on just this. There's more that goes beyond it. So I'm going to grab another one of my Simply chamois, clean up my block, make sure I've got everything clean. Sometimes helps to stamp it again on a piece of scratch. And actually we might need that again, so I'm going to leave it on there. So I'm going to show you some quick coloring using Stampin' Blends. So I'm using the Petunia Pop. All of our blends come in a 2-pack. except for the color corrector. It comes singly. So I've got the darker of the two. I tend to go from dark to light. So I'm going to come in where there's already some marks that would show that it should be a darker. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on this one. And then again here, putting the darker of the color in the places that I think the stamp already told me by its shading that that's what it wanted. So grabbing like so, now put the dark away, and I'm going to grab the light Petunia Pop. And I tend to use the bullet tips. There's also a brush tip. I'll show you that one as well. But I tend to use the bullet tip. And so I'm coming in, and then I will come and drag normally from the dark and then back up. And that will blend it around. If you chose to just use these like what I would refer to as color book coloring, and you just colored, it's nothing wrong with that. What I love about Stampin' Blends is that they don't leave lines when you're coloring. Things blend so well, and you'll have people thinking that you had a professional card. They won't even believe you are the one that colored it, because it looks so good. It just has such a smooth surface, and it works the best on our basic white cardstock. So you pull it up. You know, if you haven't used our blends, I'd suggest choosing a set. Really, I think you need 2 color sets, but you know, and try them. Oh, good, I have something I can show you how you can fix. So, just so you know how to use the corrector. That works out well. So I've got a little piece I got a little crazy with. So again, it comes with both a bullet tip and a brush tip. And it really is more aptly called a color pusher. It's kind of a pushover. And I'm just going to push up, and it'll push that color back in from where it wasn't supposed to show up. And then it'll dry. It dries clear. It's just basically clear alcohol. Then I thought the best color to pair with this was Old Olive. And so I'm only using the light of the two. You could choose to do the blending on it. They're small, these stems, and the leaves aren't big, so you don't need to get all the way to the edge. You can kind of let it kind of blend up into there on its own. It'll kind of bleed in. So like so. Like so. I'm going to do the same thing here. And again, if you need to use the color corrector, you can do that. I'm going to come here, grab just a little bit here. Some of this will get covered up, and then I'm just going to lightly come so that I don't even, oops, I may have to use a corrector. Again, we can. So the corrector is well worth it. This one is so tiny, I'm not even going to try. So I will come back in because I got a little egregious over here. Grab it, push it over here, just a little bit, ever so slightly. Okay, so then I have my greetings, I have my flowers. I have a piece of our 2024-2026 In Color Designer Series paper. This is Petunia Pop. In your package, you'll receive a punched circle. I'm going to pull out the 1 3/4 inch circle punch. Our circle punches are available in our online store, and when I looked earlier today, it was on low inventory. So if there's something you don't have, you probably don't want to wait to pick it up. Thankfully, it should be back in stock, but who knows when. So I'm going to punch that out. It helps to have a little bit of a tail to help get it out. So let's put things together. One little tip. So I'm sending you with, in your packet, a piece that's 1 inch by 4 inches. And you're going to want to trim it. And I'm doing this on purpose because I think it's important to see. I didn't want a big block. To me, that just didn't look right. So I'm going to pull out my paper trimmer, and I want to trim off a 1/4 inch from one end. So I'm going to put it up, the 1 inch side up along the rail. And I'm going to come here This is the dark one is my cutter, the lighter one would be a scoring tool, and I'm going to push up. So that leaves me with a 3/4 inch piece and a 1/4 inch piece, like so. So then I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to grab out my liquid adhesive, so my multi-purpose liquid adhesive. Grab it, especially for this little teeny 1/4 inch piece. So, see if I can get any to come out of there without giving me a puddle. There we go. So, just need enough. All right. And I'm going to come up, I don't know, close to 2 inches. So like so. See if I'm mostly straight. Okay, and then I want to do the same thing on this other piece. So that's why I left it out. I'm going to kind of squiggle it across. You don't need a ton, you need a little. Okay, then I'm going to put this piece over on this end. So I'm going to leave a little gap, about a 1/4 inch or so. If it's less than a 1/4 inch, no worries. Whatever visually you like so. Then I can attach this piece to my card base. I'm going to line it up. Come in here like so. So our paper trimmer is one of my go-to. You need a paper trimmer, and ours I do believe is a really good one. I love Stampin' Blends. There's a lot of things you just don't need, but. So we're going to start with this punched piece first. I'm going to put some adhesive on the back, use Stampin' Seal, works well. I'm going to come up from the bottom. I want up and over to the right a little bit. It's going to overlap this lower circle. I'm going to put our stamped and colored one next, just with adhesive. I'm going to come and I'm going to angle it over. I want a little space, come over, up, like so. And then I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of my greeting. And I need probably a couple of them. Probably don't need more than that. So like so. Take those off. You could do 3s. I don't know what it is about 3s, but there's something about 3s. So I'm going to come up. Maybe just a little different from our stamp that we did, or our sample, but like so. Then I need something on the inside. And so what I'm going to do for the inside, I did not bring, so guess what? We are going to grab, because it makes sense to have, you need your petunia pop. Almost grabbed it. Okay, so I've got some petunia pop ink, and we're going to ink up that butterfly. So I'm going to come down on the upper section. Again, tap, tap, tap. Don't need him in there very hard at all. And then I'm going to come up at the top and just press, let go. Isn't that beautiful? Such a pretty butterfly. Then I'm going to grab, we need our Misty Moonlight ink. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean that stamp, because I know I'm going to end up with something that's going to cause it to get ink on me. That's really why I tend to clean things. So I want the thanks stamp that comes in our Spotlight on Nature. And I'm going to ink up thanks, tap, tap, tap. Don't want them too heavy. And then I'm going to come right around in the center, and I'm going to stamp it. And I'm going to lift it up, and I'm not going to re-ink. And I'm going to go down, it overlaps just a teeny bit, ink them again. And then I'm going to come above it just a little bit and ink again, or not ink again, but stamp again. So that without re-inking, I have gone 3 times and get a fade on my greeting. Kind of liked that look. and a little different technique. It's definitely a fun one to play with if you haven't before. So we'll get rid of that stump. That can then go on the inside. And then we need only to add our jewels. So I'm curious what your first purchase will be. Will it be the Spotlight on Nature, or is it that you need some of our new in colors? They are beautiful colors. They kind of remind me of sherbet. So we got that here. I want to then grab those shimmer gems, and I need a few of them from the Petunia Pop section. So I'm going to grab one of the larger ones. I'm going to put it here. Then I want some of the smaller ones. I want two more. So I'm going to put one closer in. And then I'm going to grab a third one and I'm going to put it over here. So definitely kind of just adds that little bit. So hopefully you've liked that. We're now down 3 projects and we have 1 to go. For the third project, I've got that fun little 2468 box. That's here. Our 24, let me grab it in the middle here. Oops. 2468 box. I'm going to lay it down flat so you can see there. And I've got a little template, and I do have all of this on my tutorial. So I've got a template. So we've got a half a sheet of Pretty in Pink cardstock. This is 8.5 by 5.5, but then we've got some places we're going to be scoring. And so let me grab, I get that out of the way, I don't want to lose it. So I've got some options. First option is that you can, of course, pull out your paper trimmer and you could use the scoring blade. And you would put it in, let me grab my project packet. All the things I need here. So I've got my half sheet, okay? And I can put it in, set this aside. So I'd open up my trimmer and I would put it in along here and I would line up that left edge at 2 and I would score. And I would move it to 4 and I would score. And I would move it to 6 and I would score, and I would open up my arm, because there's an arm on here that allows this to go all the way out to 12 inches, actually 17.5 and down. And I would do it again at 8 inches. Get it locked up. That would be one option. I am a huge fan of our Simply Scored tool. And so that's what I'm going to pull out, just because I'd like to show you our Simply Scored tool. Either tool works really, really well. But, so our Simply Scored tool comes with markers and little spots what they can sit into. And so you'll see that they've got a little tab kind of that will go into here. And there's a ruler at the top. There's a ruler along the left edge. And then it comes with, at the bottom, a stylus, and it stores, if I can get it where you can see it, it has a little place where it stores. And so I'm going to line mine up in here. So I'm going to stick the 8.5 inch side along the top rail. I'm going to have that 5.5 along the left edge. I've already spaced my spacers, or my tabs out at 2, 4, 6, and 8. So I'm going to push and score down. Whoops, you know what, I skipped a step. It's okay, it'll be fine. Then I'm going to tip it, and I'm going to go at 2 inches from the bottom end up. And that would be all of my scoring that I need to do. So I've got that. Now, I said I skipped a step, and I did. Now, I need to stamp. So I'm going to pull out my Pretty in Pink ink. Almost a tongue twister there. Pretty in Pink ink. And I'm using that stitched stamp again. I'm going to ink up, and I'm just going to start stamping again randomly along the whole front piece of my cardstock, and I will have to grab so that I'm not inking on my, come here, like here. Yeah, that's probably good enough, and should probably clean it. We'll set that aside. Now I'm going to go ahead and close my ink pad for a moment. I will need it again. I want to kind of talk through how we're doing this again. So I've got my marks, and it's easier really to show it on here. So I'm going to cut along from the bottom up to this long 2-inch score mark, only up those 2 inches all along. I'm going to also angle this piece once I've cut this 2-inch piece off. This piece I don't need for this, but I need it here in a moment. So I'm going to angle these. So let me show you kind of how I did that with my scissors. So again, I've got my paper snips. I'm going to come in along that score all the way up, and then I'm going to actually cut that piece off. Now don't throw it away because I need that. It was a time savings, space savings option for me. So I'm going to come in along these four. It's the fastest little box. If you're looking for little treats, this, and it's an old technique, been around forever and ever and ever, but it is a great one. So then you've got them kind of open at the bottom. Then I want to cut off at an angle, and this just helps with the folding so it doesn't bunch. I just want an angle cut off on these two pieces. So then I've got all my box ready to go. Again, we've set this aside. I'm going to go ahead and put my scissors away, and I've got my bone folder sitting here. I'm going to go ahead and fold, and I want to make sure that I'm straight. So make sure when you fold that this top edge is lined up and even. And I'm going to do the same thing. I want to make sure that it's straight. If you do that, your box will sit straight and it won't be crooked. So I need to then do also here, and I have a little tip for assembly as well. I'm going to go ahead and fold these over, and I found that it was easier to cut before I scored. You certainly could probably choose to do it in the other way, but I found the other way works best. So got it laying out here. I'm going to take my tear and tape. So you need some tear and tape. You could use liquid adhesive, it will work. And I'm going to tear a piece, like about so, and line it up right along the edge. I do find this is the best. So here, okay, I'm going to set this here. I don't want to move it away yet. I find that my take your pick tool works really well for lifting this release paper off. So it kind of will allow it to pull off like so. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over so that this sticky that I released and I'm exposed is showing up. Then I'm going to fold this on top, and look how well that lines just right here. I didn't have to wiggle it. It's laying flat. Everything is still flat. Then when I tip it and get all my pieces to move, I end up with a box. And the box is going to all fold over. And so what I've done is I've kind of made sure I liked how it looked, and so play around with it. Turn them around, decide which one covers the best, and go with that one for showing down. I think this one works the best. So I'm going to go ahead and then put some adhesive here. So I just need a small sliver. I don't need a ton of adhesive for this box, so I just need a little here. I'm going to put my adhesive away. Again, I'm going to grab that take your pick tool, and I'm going to pull that away. Put it here, and I'm going to close. like so. And if I want to make sure, I can just take my bone folder in the center like so and fold it up. So wherever I've got my end, it's over here. I want this to be toward the back. You can kind of see it here, that that's where that edge is. So then what I did is I'm going to pinch. You're going to point your fingers and you're going to push them in, and you're going to slide this down. And I did forget one more thing, because you know, first classes, why not? I'm going to grab my hole punch. Now our hole punch is not something, this is something we used to carry. So we do not currently have a tiny hole punch that's handheld, but we used to carry one. So I'm just going to use it. You can still buy them places. I'm coming down, oh, I don't know, 1/2 inch. And I'm going to punch. Okay. And it will leave me a hole right in the center. And if it's not exactly center, it's fine. I'm going to set it aside for the moment because we need to do our circle. So again, I'm using, this is the third to the smallest circle, 2 3/4 inch, I believe. I can tell you for sure. Let me go here. No, 2 1/4. So it's a 2 1/4 inch piece. So what I want is I want the butterfly. We're going to also use Pretty in Pink, so this is all a monochromatic look. And I'm going to grab said butterfly and grab him in here. No, it's big enough. Okay, I'm going to ink him up, tap, tap, tap. Just no pushy, pushy. And I'm going to as close to that upper right side as I can get, like so, so that I end up with him not, I don't want it centered. If it's centered, you're not going to be able to put your greeting as well onto here. So that's the reason behind that. Now I'm going to put that away. I want my basic gray. I could use tuxedo black ink. So if you don't have basic gray, you could use a different one. That's when this piece is going to come in play. I'm going to grab that little piece we cut off. And I want the one that said Feel Better Soon from the Unbounded Love. It just seemed to be what I thought I'd want if I was making a little something for someone. So I could just see this being a great little gift. Could put some cough drops. Yeah, I don't know. You be creative. So I'm going to come in here and we're going to trim this a little bit. Get my head out of the way, like so. So I've got Feel Better Soon. Going to get that out of the way, clean it up. We're about done. It feels good to be done. All right, so we'll grab those paper snips again. You could be more exact and you could use your paper trimmer if you really want. But I'm just going to be free-handed here and I want to trim close. Now my top edge is a little wobbly. I'm not sure if that's a word, but it's my word. We're going to call it wobbly. Okay, so I trimmed it off so that I'm a little bit exact on some things. So you could probably use a die of some sort, but this just seemed the best option. So put just a little bit of adhesive, and the best I found was to just, again, use a little bit of our liquid glue, but really anything works. And what I'm going to do is line it up. I want this here. I'm going to line it up along the lower edge so that I've got my little tag ready to go on the inside. Now this is the hint I have for you. If you're not ready to fill your little box with something, you could leave it open and not go through these next steps. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to go ahead and get going. So I'm going to pinch it back together, and I'm going to have a pointy end on the end of my iridescent ribbon. So this is the iridescent 1/2 inch striped trim, and I need 8 inches of it. And I'm going to poke it in to my, like so. So you just need enough to poke it through. And I'm going to pull it up so it's about halfway. It's a great way to close this. There's other ways, but I really like this option. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to actually pull it down toward the front. Now, I have a piece of our baker's twine. This is from our Essentials pack. There's 5, I believe, different colors, and you just need another, like a 6 to 8 inches of this one. And I want to put it right in what I think is the center. Little encouragement from some wet lips. Okay, so what you can do is you can lift this open just a teeny bit, and I'm going to slide it in between. So I'm going to pull it open just enough to poke it through the loop. And this is how I'm going to keep it on here. Okay, so before I lose it all, okay, I'm going to pull it up so that it's about halfway. Okay, I'm going to lay it down here. Now I can tie this off. I don't need it to go down all the way, but I don't want it too tight. So I'm going to slide in. So I've got a little knot there. Now, I'm going to push this again, and I'm going to finish tying my knot so that this piece will get trimmed. You won't even know it's there. And I'm going to tie the rest of my knot so that it's secured. So I'm going to pull this over, loop it up, tie it over like so. And what a cute little box that I have got going on here. So I'm going to trim my ends. Not sure how well these scissors will trim. I think I've been using them okay with, yeah, with ribbon. Sometimes if you've used it too much on paper, they aren't real happy. So sometimes. So you just trim them to your heart's delight, whatever length you want that. But there you go. So we have 4 projects. And I'll pull them out again just so you can see them. We had our card number 1. I'll put this out of the way. We had our card number 2. We had our card number 3. And we had our little 2, 4, 6, 8 bag, little treat bag. Cute little bag. Now, remember, this was a free online class, so I hope you've enjoyed it. Kathy, I'm so sorry, I just now noticed your message. So good to see you on. If you place an order through my online store, I will be mailing you on June the 7th a packet of the make and take projects that we did today. You have until the end of day on June the 5th. And the reason I pushed it to June the 5th is because there's a special coming on June 5th through the end of June that you aren't going to want to miss, which is an extra discount on some bundles, die bundles. And so this could be one of those bundles you want to choose to wait on. But things do sell out, so sometimes it's better to not wait. Thanks. I'm so glad you liked them, Kathy. So glad. And I did want to remind that I do have more classes coming. This was the first of at least 6. I'm hoping that they're an every month thing for going forward. But the last Thursday of every month, I will have a free online class. So I look forward to seeing you then. If you have questions, make sure to reach out. Bye for now.